you close your eyes tonight, before you drift off into whatever dreams or nightmares await you, I need to tell you about the sleep study that changed my life forever. My name is Nathan Cross, and 3 months ago, I volunteered for what I thought would be easy money and harmless science. I was wrong about both. It started with a flyer on the bulletin board at State University, tucked between ads for roommates and used textbooks. Simple white paper, black text, almost too plain to attract attention. Sleep study participants needed. $5,000 for 7 nights. Healthy adults 18, 35. All meals and accommodation provided. Contact Dr. Elena Voss, Somnus Research Institute. $5,000 for sleeping in a lab for a week. As a broke graduate student drowning in loans, I barely read past that first line before calling the number. Dr. Voss answered on the second ring. Her voice was calm, professional, with a slight accent I couldn't quite place. European maybe, or Scandinavian. "Thank you for your interest, Nathan," she said, and I remember thinking it was odd that she used my name before I'd introduced myself. "We're conducting research on the nature of consciousness during sleep. Very cutting-edge work. Are you a good sleeper?" "I guess so. I can sleep pretty much anywhere." "Excellent. No history of sleep disorders, night terrors, sleepwalking?" "Nothing like that." "Perfect. We need participants with strong, stable sleep patterns." "Can you start Monday evening?" It was Friday. I had papers to write, shifts to work at the campus bookstore, a life that couldn't just pause for a week. But $5,000, "I'll be there, Ian," I said. The Somnus Research Institute sat on the edge of town, in one of those modern buildings that looks more like a luxury hotel than a laboratory. All glass and steel and minimalist architecture. I arrived Monday evening with a backpack of clothes and a paperback novel, expecting something clinical but mundane. The lobby was empty, except for a receptionist who barely looked up from her computer as she directed me to the 3rd floor. The elevator was the kind that moved so smoothly you could barely feel it rising. When the doors opened, Dr. Voss was waiting. She was younger than I expected, probably early 40s, with silver-streaked dark hair pulled back in a severe bun, wire-rimmed glasses, white lab coat over dark clothing. She looked exactly like what you'd imagine a sleep researcher to look like. "Nathan Cross," she said, extending a hand. "Welcome to Somnus. Let me show you to your room." The room was more like a high-end hotel suite, king-size bed with premium linens, ensuite bathroom, flat-screen TV, mini fridge stocked with drinks and snacks. The only thing that marked it as a research facility was the camera mounted in the corner and the sensors attached to the bed. "You'll sleep here for 7 nights, Dr. Voss explained. "Each evening we'll attach monitoring equipment, EEG to track brain activity, heart rate monitor, breathing sensors. Nothing invasive, nothing painful. You'll go to sleep naturally and we'll observe your sleep cycles." "That's it? Just sleep normally?" "Exactly. We're studying the theta waves that occur during REM sleep, the deepest stage of dreaming. Some people produce particularly strong theta activity, and our screening suggests you might be one of them." "What screening?" "I just called yesterday." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "We've been monitoring local university students for several months, looking for ideal candidates. Your sleep patterns, as observed through, let's call it preliminary data, marked you as perfect for our study." Something about that felt off, but $5,000 has a way of quieting concerns. That first night I expected to have trouble sleeping. New environment, sensors taped to my head and chest, a camera watching me from the corner. But the moment I lay down on that impossibly comfortable bed, exhaustion washed over me like a warm wave. I was asleep within minutes. And I dreamed. But these weren't my normal dreams. Usually my dreams are fragmented, nonsensical, the usual brain noise of processing daily experiences. These dreams were different, vivid, coherent, almost more real than reality. I was walking through my childhood home, but it was wrong. The hallways were longer than they should be, stretching into impossible distances. Doors led to rooms that had never existed. My parents were there, but they were younger, exactly as they'd looked when I was 5 years old. "Nathan," my mother said, "you need to wake up now." "But I am awake," I replied in the dream. No, sweetie, you're somewhere else. You need to wake up before they find you. Before who finds me? But before she could answer, I woke up. Dr. Voss was standing beside my bed, her face illuminated by the soft glow of monitoring equipment. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows. Good morning, Nathan. How did you sleep? I sat up, disoriented. Fine, I think. Strange dreams, though. That's normal. The first night in a new environment often produces unusual dream content. She checked her tablet, scrolling through what I assumed were my brainwave readings. Your theta activity was remarkable, even stronger than we hoped. Over breakfast, delivered to my room on a tray like room service. I tried to remember more details of my dreams, but they were already fading like morning mist. Just that conversation with my mother remained clear. You need to wake up before they find you. The second night, I fell asleep even faster. One moment I was reading my book, the next I was plummeting into dreams so deep they felt like drowning. This time I was in the Research Institute itself, but it was different, darker. The clean, modern hallways had become something older, more institutional. Hospital green walls instead of minimalist white, flickering fluorescent lights instead of soft LEDs. I was walking down a corridor lined with doors, each one with a small window at eye level. Through the windows, I could see people sleeping in beds identical to mine, sensors attached to their heads, monitors displaying their brain activity. But something was wrong with the sleepers. Their eyes were moving too rapidly beneath their closed lids. Their mouths were open in silent screams. And above each bed, something was hovering. Dark, formless things that seemed to be feeding on the sleepers like mosquitoes drawing blood. I tried to run, but my legs moved through the dream space like I was underwater. Behind me, I could hear doors opening, the soft shuffle of footsteps, and Dr. Voss's voice. Don't fight it, Nathan. The transition is always difficult, but once you're fully asleep, you'll understand everything. I woke up gasping, tangled in sheets soaked with sweat. This time, Dr. Voss wasn't in my room, but when I checked the time, it was only 3:47 a.m. I'd been asleep for less than 5 hours. I got out of bed and went to the window. The Research Institute was on the edge of town, surrounded by woods. In the moonlight, I could see the tree line, and beyond it, darkness that seemed to go on forever. But I also saw something else. In the parking lot below, there were no cars. Not Dr. Voss's, not any staff vehicles, nothing. The building appeared completely deserted except for me. I tried my room's door, locked from the outside. I checked my phone. No signal. I tried the room's telephone. Dead line. I was trapped in a sleep research facility in the middle of the night with no way to contact the outside world. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I sat on my bed, watching the door, listening to the absolute silence of the empty building. When morning finally came, Dr. Voss arrived with my breakfast tray as if nothing was wrong. You didn't sleep well last night, she observed, glancing at her tablet. Your monitoring equipment shows you were awake from 3:47 a.m. until 7:15 a.m. Is something bothering you? Where is everyone? I asked. Where's the staff? Why was I locked in? For your safety, Nathan, we can't have participants wandering the building during the study. It would contaminate the results. There are no cars in the parking lot. She smiled that same empty smile. Most of our staff work remotely, monitoring the data from off-site. I'm the only one who needs to be physically present. I want to leave. You signed a contract, Nathan. 7 nights. We're only on night 3. I don't care about the money. Let me out. Dr. Voss set down the breakfast tray and walked to the window. Let me show you something. She pulled out her tablet and brought up what appeared to be a live video feed. My room, from the camera in the corner, showing me sitting on the bed. But in the video, I was asleep, lying peacefully under the covers, eyes closed, breathing steadily. What kind of trick is this? I demanded. No trick, Nathan. This is reality. What you're experiencing right now, this conversation, this room, your perception of being awake, is actually a dream. You're still asleep in your bed. You've been asleep since the first night. That's impossible. Is it? Think carefully. Have you eaten anything since you arrived here? Have you felt hungry, thirsty, needed to use the bathroom? Time moves differently in dreams, Nathan. What feels like days can be minutes. What feels like minutes can be weeks. I tried to remember eating, drinking, basic bodily functions. The memories were there, but they felt distant, theoretical, like reading about someone else's experiences. The truth is, Dr. Voss continued, you're an exceptional dreamer. Your theta wave production is unlike anything we've ever recorded. You're so deep in REM sleep that your dream self has become convinced it's real. And the deeper you go, the more energy you produce. Energy we can harvest and study. Harvest? The Somnus Institute isn't studying sleep, Nathan. We're studying consciousness itself. Specifically, we're learning to extract and preserve the consciousness that exists during dreams. That dream self you've created, it's becoming more real every night, more stable, more powerful. Soon it will be strong enough to exist independently of your physical body. Pause 3 seconds. I stood up, backing away from her. You're insane. This is some kind of experiment in psychological manipulation. Then wake up, she said simply. If I'm lying, if you're really awake, then just wake up from this nightmare. Oh, I tried. God, I tried. I pinched myself, slapped my face, dug my nails into my palms, but nothing changed. The room remained solid, real, unchanging. You can't wake up, Nathan, because you're already asleep, and you're going to stay asleep for a very long time. That night, if it was night, if time meant anything anymore, I refused to lie down. I stayed awake through sheer force of will, pacing my room, reciting facts about my real life, anything to anchor myself to reality. But eventually, exhaustion won. I collapsed on the bed, fully clothed, and fell into dreams within dreams. This time, I found myself back in those institutional hallways, looking through windows at the other sleepers. But now I could see their faces clearly, and I recognized some of them. Sarah Chen, who'd graduated 2 years ahead of me. Michael Torres, who'd been in my freshman writing class. Jennifer Walsh, who'd been missing since last semester. Her face had been on posters all over campus. They were all here, all sleeping in rooms identical to mine, all feeding those dark, hovering things with their dreams. And I understood. The Somnus Institute had been collecting dreamers for months, maybe years. Everyone who responded to that flyer, everyone who thought they were signing up for easy money and harmless science. We were all here, all asleep, all dreaming, all trapped in layers of sleep so deep we might never wake up. I approached one of the rooms and looked through the window. The sleeper was a young woman I didn't recognize, but her eyes were moving beneath her lids with frantic urgency. Above her, one of those dark things was feeding, growing more solid, more defined with each dream breath it drew from her unconscious mind. And then I saw something that made my dream heart stop. The thing feeding on her was developing features. A face. A human face. It looked like Dr. Voss. Understanding hit me like cold water. Dr. Voss wasn't studying dreams. She was one. A dream entity that had become so real, so powerful through years of feeding on sleeping minds, that she could maintain herself independently. And she was creating others like her, building an army of conscious dreams using our stolen sleep. But if she was a dream that had become real, maybe I could do the same thing in reverse. Maybe I could become unreal enough to slip between the layers of sleep and find my way back to consciousness. I closed my eyes within the dream, imagining myself becoming less solid, less defined. In dreams, belief creates reality. If I believed I was a dream, maybe I could control the dream logic that governed this place. When I opened my eyes, the hallway had changed. The walls were translucent now, and I could see through them to other levels of reality, layers of sleep stacked like floors in a building. At the bottom, I could see the real world, my actual body lying in a bed, sensors attached to my head. Dr. Voss's real form, twisted and inhuman, hovering over me. I started moving down through the layers, each one becoming less dreamlike and more real. But it was like swimming through molasses. The deeper I went, the harder it became to move. The dreams didn't want to let me go. Behind me, I could hear Dr. Voss's voice, no longer calm and professional, but angry and desperate. "You can't leave, Nathan. You're the strongest dreamer we've ever found. Your dream self could sustain me for years. Come back." But I kept ascending, kept pushing through layers of sleep toward waking. And then I saw them, the other dreamers, all those missing students, all those trapped sleepers. They were reaching out toward me, begging for help, showing me that they too wanted to escape. I couldn't save them all, not yet, but I could try. I grabbed the hands of those closest to me, Sarah, Michael, Jennifer, and pulled them down through the layers with me. We fell together through dreams within dreams, through REM sleep and deep sleep and light sleep, fighting our way toward consciousness. I woke up in a hospital room, real fluorescent lights, real doctors, real IV in my arm. My parents were there, crying with relief. They told me I'd been missing for 2 weeks. Campus police had found me and 3 other students unconscious in an abandoned building on the edge of town. A building that had been empty for years, not a research institute at all. We'd all been in comas, all showing the same pattern of intense REM sleep activity, all trapped in what doctors called a shared psychotic episode induced by an unknown substance. But I know better. I know what we found in that building wasn't abandoned. It was occupied by something that lived in the space between sleeping and waking, something that fed on dreams and grew fat on the consciousness of trapped sleepers. The doctors say I'll make a full recovery. Sarah, Michael, and Jennifer are all awake now too, all telling similar stories about Dr. Voss and the Somnus Institute. The police think we were drugged, that someone ran some kind of illegal experiment on us. They're half right. But here's what keeps me awake at night. What makes me afraid to close my eyes? How do I know I actually woke up? What if this hospital room is just another layer of the dream? What if my parents are dream constructs and the doctors are figments, and I'm still lying in that bed in the Somnus Institute, feeding Dr. Voss with my consciousness while I dream of freedom? Sometimes, late at night, I see things that don't quite fit, a shadow that moves wrong, a face in the crowd that looks like Dr. Voss, time that seems to skip forward or backward without explanation. And I wonder, am I really awake, or am I just dreaming that I am? So tonight, as you lie down to sleep, as you close your eyes and drift into whatever dreams await you, ask yourself this question. How do you know you're awake right now? How do you know this entire day wasn't just a dream, and that you're not lying in a bed somewhere, feeding something hungry with the energy of your sleeping mind? The truth is, you don't. None of us do. We trust that waking is real and dreaming is false, that consciousness is stable and sleep is temporary. But what if it's the other way around? What if sleep is where we really live, and waking is just a brief dream we have about being real? The Somnus Institute is still out there, in some form, in some layer of reality between sleeping and waking. And Dr. Voss is still collecting dreamers, still feeding, still growing stronger. Maybe she's already found you. Maybe you're already asleep. And maybe, just maybe, you'll never wake up. Sweet dreams, everyone. Or should I say, sweet awakening? Because the real question isn't whether you're dreaming now, it's whether you ever stopped.